Hello and welcome to Executive Encore, the podcast dedicated to empowering inspiring women navigating the exciting transitions of their Encore years. I'm your host, Patricia, and I'm here as we explore the stories of remarkable women who are redefining success, embracing their changes, and making a profound impact on the world. Today, I am very happy to invite a guest who's going to be diving into a topic that affects so many high achieving women, whether they're professionals, senior executives. I've met so many women that have this challenge, and that is their health and wellness, but in particular, the often frustrating journey of weight loss. I'm so pleased to welcome an expert who has dedicated her career to this very challenge, Lisa Goldberg. Lisa is a renowned health strategist and founder of a pioneering wellness consultancy that maintains physical health and professional success, particularly with sustainable weight loss. After years of observing brilliant leaders conquer the boardroom but struggle with their own well being, she has developed a unique methodology focused on nutrition and sustainable weight loss for long term health. Her work is a testament to the idea that true success is holistic, not a quick fix. And she's here to share her invaluable insights with us. Lisa, thank you for joining us today on Executive Encore.
Oh, thank you, Patricia. I'm so excited to be here and have this conversation with you today.
That's wonderful. So, our first talking point is a question I know resonates with many women in our audience. Why do so many successful women who manage multi-million dollar budgets, lead huge teams, and build their own successful businesses struggle to have success with lasting weight loss?
It's a big topic, but it's also a question that the women that I work with struggle so much with. It's just like I don't understand. I can master this, but this part of my life. I remember working with a client who said, I have 3 degrees on my wall, but I
Mm-hmm,
have not been able to figure out how to lose weight and keep it off. And
mm-hmm,
one of the examples that I use when I share with my my successful women clients is think about it. If when you started your career, somebody gave you the wrong information, they told you or they shared with you or they guided you on how to do the job that you were starting incorrectly, how
mm-hmm,
would you ever become successful in your position and in your career if you were given the wrong information from the get-go?
mm-hmm,
And that's exactly what dieting is.
mm-hmm,
So most women who have struggled with their weight have struggled for years or decades because the women that I work with are in their 40s, 50s, 60s, 70s. So they've struggled, they've yo-yo dieted for decades.
mm-hmm,
And the struggle often starts when you're young, right? Whether it's what happened in your family, you come from the clean the plate club, you can't leave the table until you finish your food, or you can't have dessert until you finish your food, or there's children starving someplace, on the planet, so you need to finish your food. And, all of these messages that we get around food, sometimes there's scarcity in a household or there's restriction in a household. And all of this wires in to your brain and your experiences with food, weight, and dieting. I've worked with women in their 70s and 80s who remember when they were 12 years old, their mothers took them to a diet doctor. And
Really?
they started their first diets, when they were either early teenagers or even before. So they've been taught restriction. The way to lose weight is to cut out the carbs, cut out the sugar, cut out all of your favorite foods, right? When you're older, cut out the wine, cut it all out for the sake of weight loss. And while that information works, it works until it doesn't. And so they go back to their regular habits and behaviors and their regular way of eating as soon as the diet is done, either as soon as they lose the weight or as soon as they can't take being so restrictive anymore.
Mm-hmm,
And that's why the most successful women have trouble losing weight because they keep trying in a way that's not sustainable. It is not sustainable to cut everything out that you love. So what I teach women is how to eat in the life that you live, that you can indulge, right? And I teach them part of my method is how much and how often in 7 days. So indulging a couple of times a week. I had a client who had ice cream every week with her family, right? It was kind of one of their, traditions that they did. She still
Mhm.
lost 50 pounds over 6 months
Mm.
because it wasn't about no, it was about how do I manage living my life and, the foods that I love. I had a client who worked for a big television station and she loved going out for her cocktails and drinking her wine. And I was able to show her how she could lose weight and still be able to have her wine. She didn't have to give it up. And that's really the bottom line. And so, for any woman who's listening and thinks, there must be something wrong with me or I'll never be able to figure this out, all you need to figure out is what you say inside your head. What habits and patterns do you keep repeating that are self-sabotaging?
Mhm.
Learn how to change them. And that's what I do. I basically help women rewire their thinking
Mhm.
so that they learn how to eat in the life that they live and they break the patterns that they've had for the last multiple decades, right? So they have a healthier relationship with food and a healthier relationship with themselves.
Yeah. So interesting because that speaks to there's a disconnect. Like these women are high performing in every other area of their life, right? Uh, but the skills that they have for being high performance, they're not applying to their own personal lives to success in sustainable weight loss, right? So it's a mindset that around their personal well-being that they have a disconnect with, right? That's so interesting.
Yeah, well, it's a mindset, but it's wired into their brains,
It's
which is
well,
why they
yeah,
keep repeating their patterns.
yeah,
And people don't know how to change their patterns. I mean, I've worked with therapists, right, who guide others, but they still come because they can't figure it out for themselves, right? I work with mindset coaches who I work with one client. She was just like, until I started listening to you and hearing what you say. I'm a mindset coach. She's like, I never applied it to my relationship with food.
yeah. It's interesting, isn't it? That yeah, even the things that we are really good at, we're disconnected from our own personal experience, right?
Yes.
Yeah. So that actually brings us to a second talking point, and that is what is the missing piece to weight loss to keep the weight off? And so many of us are on a roller coaster, and I can speak to this not from my own experience, but from what I see, even in if there's a special event in business, how many women will actually then go on a diet so that when they show up again at the event that their weight is where they would like it to be. So it is this roller coaster, right? So what is that missing piece? What are we overlooking?
What they're really overlooking is the habit, behavior, and the mindset change. Because here's the thing, we do what we tell ourselves to do, right? We give ourselves messages inside their head. So most, if not every client, I have to really say every client that I've ever worked with who struggles with emotional eating, yo-yo dieting, gaining and losing the weight, they have a way of thinking, which I call the dieter's mindset, right?
Divers?
Dieter's
Oh,
mindset,
dieters,
dieter's
sorry.
mindset, or the dieter's mentality. So they all have a very black and white way of thinking. They're either
Yep.
on the diet or they're off the diet, right? They're either being good or they're going off the rails.
Yeah.
They think things like, it's just a little bit, what difference does it make? Or, I wish I didn't eat that thing, right? I've been good all day. And then they eat something they wish they didn't. And then they think, well, I blew it, so I may as well keep on eating and I'll start again tomorrow,
Mm-hmm.
right? Or, just like they give themselves these messages where they repeat the patterns and the thinking is a pattern,
Mm-hmm.
right? So if you don't recognize what you're saying inside your head, right? So many women will step on the scale, and if the scale doesn't meet their expectations, they're like, what's the use?
What's the
What's the
use?
point of doing that? What's the point of doing this, right? I may as well keep on eating. They don't think, well, I just spent a week or 2 weeks feeding myself in a really healthy, nourishing way. That's a win in and of itself. They make it all about the number on the scale. But that's what they've been trained to think about, that the success is the number versus how they've taken care of themselves.
Hmm. Hmm. That's an interesting way to look at it because it's reframing it. Many of these women are hardwired towards goals as well, like numbers, right? So
Mhm.
that's they've transferred that into their personal experience as well. It's all about the scale, right? Rather than actually the way they feel about eating certain things, right? Like there are some things that are comfort foods, and to recognize that that is a comfort food and it's okay, but it's not something we want to have long term, right? So
Right.
I'm
Well, what I
sure.
also, yeah, I do, I help people recognize what emotions, right?
Hmm.
The emotional eating aspect is what are you eating? Are you eating anger, frustration, worry, resentment? So oftentimes women are wired to, if once they're triggered, to turn to the food to deal with this or to numb out or to distract. Like that's another learned behavior.
Hmm. Hmm.
Right?
Yeah.
So while they know inside their heads they shouldn't be doing that, right? They say, "Are you sure you want to eat that?" Right? You know you shouldn't eat that. But what do? They do it anyway.
They do it.
The other side
Well,
of their brain, right?
I,
The other side, what I call your rabbit hole voice, is the voice that says, "Go ahead, just eat it, but I want it. I'll be better tomorrow." And there's the habitual thinking.
I can attest to that one. When we're so used to following the rules and following everyone else's goals, and when it comes to something like food, even though it is sabotaging our own health,
Mhm.
I will find myself saying, I'll do it because I can, and I'll do it because I want to. You can't, you can't tell me not to, right?
But
It's a
but see,
crazy
you
mindset.
can't tell me. So let's think about that, Patricia. You're saying inside your head, you can't tell me what to do, which tells me somebody in your life in the past used to say to you, you shouldn't eat that, or you're not supposed to eat that. There was somebody else telling you what you shouldn't or shouldn't eat, or making you feel guilty for eating something. And so there's your little rebellious voice,
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
right? And here's the thing. You're probably not speaking to that person anymore. They're not there. They're not around when you're sabotaging yourself with that thought.
I can say that probably who I'm talking to is that the many messages that I received from friends when they were dieting. I
Hmm.
remember being in high school and one girl dieting, like you said, very young, and most of us didn't even know what dieting was at that time.
Right.
But we were introduced to diet drinks, and this friend of mine would have a diet drink and then a chocolate donut, and it was crazy, but that was my introduction to diet. So those are the messages that I hear from other women saying that, okay, we're going on this particular trip or we're going on this event. It's time to start dieting, right? Even though I don't do that, but I do have to admit I have that rebellion. And when it's an emotional thing, I say, the heck with it. I'm going to have that bag of chips. You can't,
Uh,
you
hang
can't
on.
tell me what to do.
Hang on. So this is what I teach. It's not the heck with it because there is no it. What you're actually saying is the heck with me.
Good point. Thank you, Lisa. That's a very, very poignant point. Thank you
Well,
for saying that.
it's the truth.
Yeah,
It is something out there in the ether,
yeah,
but the person who suffers is yourself.
that's true. That's true. In many ways, mindset, our satisfaction with how we're living our life and our bodies as well, right? Because as we go into these encore years, all the things that we've been wanting to enjoy during our encore years, we would not be able to enjoy that if we don't have a healthy lifestyle to support it.
Right.
And I'm sorry, I said it again, but support the lifestyle that I want. So I think that's very much a switch in the mindset, right? The lifestyle that I want.
Well, and you would think about it. The food that you put in your body matters,
Hmm.
right? And we all know what healthy food looks like. There's no woman out there who doesn't know what healthy food looks like. And so it's not about not having the unhealthy stuff, but again, it's how much and how often do you need to feel satisfied,
Hmm.
right? Because usually I always say the first bite and the best bite, and after that, there's diminishing returns. So it's really about as we get older and as we age, right? The body does things like it's like a car, it wears. So does our bodies, and we have to take care of it, right? We have to exercise and drink water and get good sleep and put good nutrients into our bodies. And I truly believe when we do that, when we focus on changing the habits and behaviors that cause us to regain the weight or prevent us from losing weight, when we focus on changing that, the natural result of that is weight loss.
The natural result. Yeah. So going back to the fact that we've had this diet mindset for decades, okay?
Mhm.
And we know that diets do sabotage us in our health. But what about this new weight loss mindset that we can just take a drug? I know you have a particular opinion or maybe a feeling about them these new weight loss drugs not being the answer. Could you talk about that and around the sustainable weight loss, right?
Yeah, yeah. So, listen, in my opinion, and I understand it, people don't want to wait. They want to lose weight yesterday.
Hmm.
And, whenever you put a drug in your body, any drug, right? For one thing, it usually messes up something else inside your body, right? So on one hand, it has a positive effect, and on one hand, it has a negative effect. And we've heard things like Ozempic face, Ozempic butt, people have gastroparesis, people have digestive problems, people have health problems from being on. I mean, there's studies that show there's something recently that I didn't read in depth about, but Ozempic, vulva or Ozempic vagina. It's like a new thing. It's just like, really? Like, how many more things are you willing to risk to take a drug? So my feeling is if you're going to be on the drug, ask yourself, do you want to be on it for the rest of your life? Because you don't know, we don't know. If you remember fen, 13 years later, it went off the market because they found that it caused cardiac problems,
Hmm.
right? So we don't know what's going to happen in 10, 15, or 20 years from now if you stay on that drug. So I believe that everybody needs to do the work that I do when it comes to habit, behavior, and mindset change. Because if you don't get to the root cause of your unhealthy relationship with food, and oftentimes with women, underneath it, you have an unhealthy relationship with yourself. Think about the way you speak to yourself every time you emotionally eat, right? So it's unkind. And I do believe that when you're emotionally eating and you're binge eating on unhealthy food, it's kind of a little bit like self-punishment, right? Because you
Hmm.
were kind of like, right, with that rebellious voice, I'll kind of show you and you can't tell me what to do. I'm going to eat it anyway. So that's you being unkind to yourself,
Hmm. Hmm.
right? Because what you're choosing to eat, isn't a salad. It's some kind of processed food that you
Yeah.
believe is going to make you feel better. So I believe that people, and I work with clients that are on the drugs, but we do the mindset work. So we get to the root cause of what got them to be thinking this way. So they've got different habits. They think differently about their relationship with food when you get off the drug, and to enable them to get off the drug
Hmm.
sooner than later.
Hmm. 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 And have those healthy habits well established so that
Mhm.
they don't fall back into the trap again, right? Yeah. Yeah.
Exactly.
Now, it's interesting that you pointed out about healthy speaking to yourself and being kind to yourself, because I think I'm probably one of the the best people for practicing that. But we all have our little triggers, right?
Mhm.
And so it's interesting that we still do that. We still self-sabotage for something that we really want, right? So
Yes, and that's the crazy thing because it's only after people tend to turn to the food or you eat the food that they're just like, I don't understand, why did I do that? And
why
then
am
they
I
beat
doing this?
themselves up and the cycle starts again because oftentimes they just go ahead and they, somehow they're like, I may as well keep on eating, which is this is the dieter's mindset. It's like they feel like I ate 3 cookies and then they eat 12 cookies. So aren't you ahead of the game if you eat three and you just stop there? But the dieter's mindset, based on past history, they keep going.
Wow, that's so interesting. Hmm. So could you, I just have one last question for you that I ask all my guests. Was
Okay.
there a moment in your life, it could be based on this topic or it could be based on anything that you realized for yourself, where you thought, I'm going to change a leaf in the book and I'm going to remaster my life and work? Do you have a moment like that that you can share with us?
Honestly, I've had many moments like that. I first started my career in retail marketing.
Hmm.
And then I went as I was an account executive for a fragrance company. I was a marketing manager for a cosmetics company. I've had many changes, but I'd say probably the biggest change came in 2013. I was the nutritionist on the floor of the New York Stock Exchange, and I had a lunch business. I started on the floor and I branched out. I fed healthy lunches to traders on Wall Street.
Oh.
I stopped doing that in 2013 and I decided I was just going to really practice and work with clients one-on-one. And then I realized as soon as I shut down that lunch business, which was on June 30th of 2013, I was like, I'm not going to make any money unless somebody calls me on the phone and sets an appointment. But I was very intentional, and my business kind of like all of July and August skyrocketed. Fast forward to December of 2013, I ended up out in California and I had an office in New York. I was living in New York City. Um, and only one of my clients said she wanted to do a call while I was away. Everyone's like, oh, we'll see you when you get back. And I did this call with her, and I remember thinking the minute I hung up, I'm like, I need to figure out how to build my business online because the conversation I just had with her is no different than if she was sitting in front of me.
Hmm. Hmm.
And so for the last 12 years, I've worked and I've built my business online, and now I have clients in Australia and New Zealand, and I've had clients in Hong Kong. I have clients right now in London and in Hungary, and I've had clients, in Russia. So it's limitless.
Hmm. Good for
So
you. So
I'd say
you were ahead of the curve, weren't
I was
you?
ahead of the curve.
Yeah, good for you.
Yeah,
So
I'd say
it
that was it.
helped you to build a good foundation online. So that's
Yeah,
great.
yeah.
Well, thank you very much. I just want to for our audience just to pull out three key messages here, right? And that it's been very enlightening, Lisa. Thank you so much. And I want to reflect on speaking to my audience, I want to reflect on what Lisa was talking about, particularly to me. Okay, we've learned that the struggle with weight loss for successful women is not about lack of discipline, but the application of the skills that they actually have and the mindset that they have to have built these skills in the past, right? And the second is we discovered that the missing piece is often deeper, more sustainable strategy that goes beyond the diet culture. And finally, we've gained some critical perspective on why the new weight loss, all the information around that weight loss drug may not be the best long-term solution, right? It may even just support that diet mindset, right? Right, Lisa? It just keeps on supporting it. So, Lisa, your expertise is a beacon for many of us, and I'm so glad that you have the foundation of your business online because now you can spread it around the world, right?
Thank you.
Thank, thank you for your generosity and empowering the Executive Encore community with your wisdom today. Um, I'd like to say to our listeners, I hope this discussion has inspired you further to approach your own health and wellness with a new sense of purpose and strategy, and particularly the focus on sustainable weight loss. We all know as as our bodies age, weight means something different to all of us. But if we don't have sustainable weight loss, then we're not going to be able to enjoy the lifestyle that we choose for our executive encore. This is my big lesson for today, that's for sure. To continue the conversation and discover the resources designed to help you thrive in every aspect of your life, please visit my website at patriciamuir.com. There you can learn more about my programs, including the Executive Encore Network for Women. You can join a vibrant community of women who are designing their best years, their encore years. To our incredible community, thank you for joining us for another episode. We hope this conversation will inspire you to also take a look at what Lisa offers. And Lisa, you do have an offer to the general audience. And then, of course, I'll mention that Lisa will extend a special offer to those women who are in the either a subscriber for the newsletter or in the Executive Encore Network for Women. Lisa, could you please describe what your offer is to the general population at this moment?
Yes, I'd love to. Starting November 1st, I have a 30-day intensive called Weightless. It's a 30-day intensive to lasting weight loss. And over 30 days, we go deep. I have specific topics that we cover: how to nourish your body, right? You heard me talk about how to eat in the life that you live. I go in depth on that. You get nutrition plans. You learn how to eat in a sustainable way for the rest of your life, right? Creating your new way of being. I talk about how to create an awareness of the habits and behaviors that need to change, right? I help pull those out of you. I help you explore what are the habits and behaviors that you have that's preventing your weight loss or causes you to regain the weight, then you lose it. We talk about breaking patterns.
Mhm.
Week 3 is breaking patterns, how to break those patterns. And week 4 is rebuilding your self-esteem, because so many women chip away at their self-esteem with each diet that they go on, with how they speak to themselves in such a negative way. They create self-doubt instead of self-belief,
Mhm.
because there's a little part of them that doesn't actually believe that they can actually lose the weight and keep it off for good. So Weightless is a 30-day intensive where you go deep. There's private coaching. There's 3 group coaching calls um, over the course of time. During the 30 days, you have handouts. I give you everything you need to lay the foundation for lasting weight loss,
Mhm.
right? We start to pave that new road so you get the tools and strategies and start to have that mindset, right? If you're goal oriented, you're going to have that mindset, but now you're going to see exactly where you need to create those shifts to
Mhm.
lose weight and keep it off for good. And if you go to liveweightless.com, you could find out all about this 30-day intensive and enroll right there. We start November 1. And if you have any questions, feel free to email me at lisa@lisagoldbergnutrition.com.
Okay. And I will have that information in the show notes as well. And for those people who would like to see the next step in the offer, please sign up for the Encore newsletter today. I will also have that in the show notes and the link to the newsletter. Lisa will be featured in the weekly blog this week and the published newsletter coming to you this Sunday, October 26th. But you can always get the links later through YouTube. No problem there. So you're all set to go. When you subscribe to the newsletter, you'll also receive VIP access to other resources offered by other podcast guests. So it's a good place to be on a Sunday morning. uh, Visit my website, visit Lisa's website, read my blog, and follow me on LinkedIn and YouTube. And Lisa's social media will be in the notes as well. Remember, this is where your executive encore begins. This is where you start to live a healthy lifestyle so that you can really enjoy what you have planned for your executive encore. This week, one more. I encourage you to reclaim whatever personal power you have to reach into for this chapter and take action for sustainable weight loss, not the up and down diet mindset, so that you can enjoy all that you have planned. Until next time, take care of yourself, do what's best for you, and don't jeopardize what you've built for yourself. Bye bye.